morning, right before you get ready to go to work. Now, today we're going to be going over the Cleveland Browns defensive backfield. Now, this is a new look group. It's got a few familiar faces. The starters we all know. But what about everybody else? We've got at least 4 new faces in the defensive backs room. And they are all talented in their own way, but they don't quite all fit. But before we get to the questions, let's get into the ballers, the guys that are going to carry this group. Now, when you're going to talk about the Browns defensive backs, you got to start with one of the best in the business, Denzel Ward. Now, Denzel has one big problem, and that's concussions. We kind of had to hold our breath last off season when it looked like he had gotten another one. Because whether we like it or not, Denzel is 1 to 2 concussions away from retirement. I mean, the mind just can't hold up at that place. He's 5'11", 190 pounds, and there are times when he tries to play like he's 6'1", 6'2", 210. He just sticks his head in there where probably should go for the knees. And does it turn out well for him? Otherwise, he's one of the best man coverage corners in the NFL. Maybe the best, depending on who you ask. And he makes plays. He made some of the best plays we've ever seen. And he's also getting a little up there. Getting up there in age, his concussions, as I said before, 1 or 2 concussions away. But he's still one of the best in the business. And that doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. And his running mate is a guy I've watched live multiple times here in Jacksonville that I was absolutely thrilled that we got when they traded for him. So absolutely fleeced the Jags on this. That's Tyson Campbell. 6'1", 190 pounds, great man corner. When the new coaching staff came in, he just didn't fit the scheme anymore. He gets to the Browns, first game, interception. Excellent man coverage corner. Easily a number 1 corner on most teams in the NFL. On this one, he's got Denzel Ward at number 1. So he doesn't have to worry about covering the number 1 guy. He just goes out there, he perfects his craft, plays the number 2 guys, does it incredibly well. If Ward goes down, which Ward only plays 12 to 15 games a year, depending on the situation, he can slide right on over to the 1. And you're not going to miss a beat at that number 1 cornerback position. Now, the number 2, that's a different story. We'll get to that later. Now, the other ballers here, the stars that we have, I'm going to start out with an alum from the U, Mr. Ronnie Hickman. 6'1", 209 pounds, rangy, had career highs last year of, I believe it was 99 tackles and 3 interceptions, if I'm correct. He is blossoming into one of the better young free safeties in the NFL. And if he continues that development this year, he's going to be a game changer. Undrafted, I didn't think he should have been undrafted. Some people thought he should have been undrafted. Well, obviously, those people won out in the draft board game. But that being said, the draft board game doesn't give results, doesn't show potential. Hickman not only showed results and potential, he could be one of the steals of that draft. And his running mate, well, his running mate's Grant Delpit. Big dude, 6'3", 210 pounds. He's a thumper, but one big knock on him was his ability to cover. Well, over the last few years, as a pro, his ability to cover has essentially exploded. He is a very good coverage safety now, but he's still great in the box. And I don't think he's been announced yet, but I believe he is in the top 100 this year for the NFL. I haven't seen the full list, but I believe he is in there. So in those four guys, you have star power, you have exceptional coverage ability, and you have the ability to slide down and get into the box and play in the box. And with all those things, that brings us to the question marks. The support staff and the guys that are probably going to be the nickel and dime corners. First, got to go with the big free agent signing, if you can call it that. Miles Bryant. Tiny guy, 5'9", 160. Dime corner. Not very productive. Hasn't been productive since he signed with the Texans. He was productive when he was with the Patriots. But since signing with the Texans, he has not been productive. And with his size, he can't play nickel. Can't play in the box. He is strictly a dime corner. Goes in there, tackles the number 3 or number 4 receivers. That's the extent of what he's capable of doing. And hopefully he just gets an interception or two during the season. The other guy, he's a guy I really like. Another undersized guy, 5'9", 190 pounds, D'Angelo Ross. Ross showed last year against the Bengals he can hold his own against the some of the best number 2 wide receivers in the NFL. But he's 5'9", 190. He's not overly athletic. And he will get beat by bigger players. We've seen it in both OTA and camp, where Denzel Boston just roasted him. And with that roast, he lost a couple interceptions. So when it comes to D'Angelo Ross, he's a guy you can put in there for a spell, have a sandwich, get your hamstrings looked at, and then when it's time to take him back out, take him out. Might even get a good game out of him like he did with Cincinnati last year, where he pretty much locked down their number 2 receiver. And if that's the case, if Denzel Ward gets injured, Tyson Campbell has to move over to the number 1, you may have a suitable professional backup. But remember, he's only 5'9". He gets against a bigger corner is probably going to get cooked. But that being said, you got yourself a backup plan. Rookie safety / cornerback Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. 6'3", 210 pounds. A guy I thought was a top 15 talent in this last draft. McNeil-Warren is getting praise right now as one of the most athletic defensive backs on the team. Strong back pedal, flips his hips better than expected. Some people have speculated that he was drafted as a replacement for Grant Delpit. There's no evidence of that. Because remember, McNeil, while primarily a safety, is also a corner. He played corner in college at times. Now, what does Coach Rudy like in his nickel and dime corners? Size. New defense coordinator, Coach Rudenberg, likes size at that position. 6'3", 210. Mobile, strong, and he might not be the fastest guy. But remember, 6'3", good wingspan. He gets beat by a step or two deep. As long as he keeps his awareness about him, he gets his hands up, he's still going to swat the ball away. He's a big, big guy. So don't think that just because he has the safety label that he's just going to be a safety, because he is this big guy that can play corner, who is lined up at corner, and can play safety. So don't rule out that he may be the guy to start in that nickel and dime package on the line of scrimmage. And a little bit of a sleeper here, Zion Washington, another rookie. This one undrafted. He's come on pretty well. He had a couple nice highlights during minicamp and OTAs. So he's one of those guys, he's not particularly great at anything, but he's a pretty good coverage guy. He's a good corner. He's a safety. Multifaceted, 6'1", fits the overall dynamic they got there. And if he comes on, Miles Bryant may have signed as a free agent. Don't think he can't be beat out. He's a limited player. Zion Washington comes out, shows he can play safety and corner, and he has good coverage skills. Miles Bryant may be on the outside looking in. Now, I only got 8 guys here. That's because I think that the Browns are only going to keep 8 to 9 defensive backs. I don't think they're going to overload it. I think they're going to keep just enough on the active roster in case somebody gets injured where they can plug and play. And I think they'll keep a couple guys in reserve. Because remember, it's 48, then 53. So you have that extra 5 guys. So the 48, so they might keep 10 corners on the active 53, or 10 defensive backs, on the active 53, but they may only keep 1, 2, they might keep 2 of them on the practice squad. Not practice squad, the 48 to 53, in the 48 to 53 range. And they'll probably keep 1 or 2 on the practice squad. So you're looking between practice squad and 48 to 53, about 5 defensive backs. And probably closer to 8 on the 48-man active roster during the year. So in that situation. I think the most likely activate, I think you're looking at him. Though Zion Washington is a little bit of a wild card. While he is a little bit of a wild card, I think he can make it with a strong camp. Because remember, that's what we're doing here. We're looking toward camp. And that's what these videos are. Break down what camp is, or what camp could look like, and players to watch. Now, saying that, you got to look how these guys fit together. And well, that's outside of the bigger nickels and dimes that Coach Rudy likes. There's not much changes. The defensive staff is mostly intact. Coach Banda was the safety coach last year, was promoted to the pass game coordinator, one of 3 pass game coordinators. So, Coach Monken has not taken any risks with his pass game, both either offense or defense. He wants these guys ready. So Coach Banda is still around if one of these guys want to come to him. And he did propel this group to one of the best defensive backs groups and one of the best safety groups in the NFL, while overlooking the progression of Delpit and Hickman. So he is a big part of this coaching staff. And the new DB's coach is Brandon Lynch, former Super Bowl champion with the Patriots. Then the next year went to Canada. I think it was the Rough Riders that won the Canadian championship that year. And he was a defensive back on their team as well. So Brandon Lynch is a winner. And he's been coaching for, I believe, 11 years. 10, 11 years now. He only had somewhere around there. I know he only had like a 6-year career in football as a player. But he made an impact during those 6 years, obviously. And this is an interesting one. Coach Monken and Coach Rudy hired a nickelback coach. Now, not the band. I'm not going to start singing Nickelback, especially this early in the morning. Don't want to blow anybody's eardrums. Or make them go insane either way. But Coach Jeff Anderson, a former Texas Southern University quarterback, college offensive coordinator, and he's been with the Browns a few years now. A lot of people may not know that. He started as, basically an intern at that point after coming from college, and worked his way up. And he sees things through a quarterback's eyes, through an offensive player's eyes. And that's important, because if you're seeing things through the eyes of the offense and you're working with young guys like Zion Washington, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, if you're trying to turn D'Angelo Ross into somebody who can actually play a nickel or dime situation, because right now he's only a boundary guy. He plays the sidelines. He doesn't do much else. If you're trying to resurrect Miles Bryant's career because he only had like 4 years of productive play, this is the guy you need working that nickel back situation. Jeff Anderson can look at these guys and say, this is what the quarterback's looking at. And that is incredibly important, especially when you're dealing with guys going over the middle and having to anticipate quick throws. So I really like that hiring was unexpected, but I think it's going to be incredibly important to have that decade plus coaching experience through the eyes of an offensive player at that nickelback coaching position. And that being said, well, guys, we're looking at the end of our ropes. We got high expectations for this cornerback room. We have a lot of young guys. I think we only have Denzel Ward, I believe, is the only guy over 26 years old. So we got high expectations, a lot of potential. But as Coach Monken has always said, this is their job to teach these guys. And that, I believe, is what these coaches were hired to do. Teach them to win, scheme them up, play to their strengths, which is man, and give them those high expectations. And I believe that outside of the bigger corners for nickel and dime, I believe that's the only change is the expectations. The expectations just went up, folks. And if the linebackers hit their expectations with Williams and Schlesinger, well, sky's the limit here, folks. Because this defense, I think, is going to be better than some people think. That Myles Garrett trade was not a deal breaker like Vegas and a lot of other pundits are saying. It's going to be a fun season in that defensive backfield, and I'm looking forward to it. So, going ahead, you know what time it is. You got to hit the like, share, and subscribe. I hope if you enjoyed it, so hit that ding-a-ling down low. And remember, this shot's on us.